go. All right, we're live. Here we go. Cool. Good morning, everybody. Happy Saturday. It's a little chilly in the shop this morning, getting it warmed up. So hopefully I won't be too sniffly or anything. This hat is getting all stretched out. It looks like crap, but hey, it's keeping my head warm. Let me make sure I got these settings right. All messages, just in case people want to throw stuff in the chat there. All right, and I'm going to bring you along working on a special project here. And I'm just going to kind of work just like I did last time, using YouTube more for my live streams, not doing a whole lot of edited content. So we're doing it live, as the kids say. So, yeah. Just going to get rocking, move my little heater here so it's actually hitting me. And, yeah, I'm going to bring you guys along. So feel free to pop any questions up in that chat if you have them. And I will respond accordingly. So we'll see if anybody pops on. I know people got other shit they want to do on a Saturday than sit around and watch me, but it's all right. Put up some paper towel. All right, let's get Gustav going here. This is my little shop helper, Gustav. He little incense burner guy. As you can see, he's got his NagelHaus Forge swag on and all that stuff. So I'm gonna get some incense going, set the mood a little bit. Gustav, you look all fucked up, man. Did you have a hard night last night? All righty. Let's get this guy going here. I know you guys can't see what I'm doing off camera. I'm just getting my little incense burner going. Set the little ambiance. All right. Hey, yeah. So again, if you got any comments or anything, feel free to pop them in the chat. I'll move my camera so you guys can see what I'm doing. But working on this knife today. It's currently at 120 grit hand sanding, and I'm going to bring it on up. And the goal for this session is to get it all the way up to where it's time to etch it in the acid. The blade is wrought iron sandmai, so I've got some gorgeous 120-year-old wrought iron on the outside, and then a 80 CRV2 core. All right, it's just some really cool stuff. I'm really liking working with wrought iron and stuff. I don't have a lot of opportunity to work with it, so getting my hands on some and putting it to good use is a lot of fun. So, so this project is a special project. I'm not going to really go into a whole lot of detail of what it is or who it's for, because it's kind of a surprise gift. So so we're just gonna work on with it. So how you doing, man? I don't know how to say your name. Kaka Awads. That's a great name. That's where you from, man? So yeah, so we're gonna get going. Get a hand sand. I've got my 220 grit sandpaper stacked up here, and we are going to get working. All right, let's get you angled here so y'all can see what I'm doing. And if you have any questions on my process or whatever, feel free to put something in the comments, and I'll respond accordingly. Let me see if I can get you a little better angle here. Hold on. Let's maybe lower you down just a tad. There you go. I want you to be able to see what I'm doing. There you go. All right. I think that's about as good as I can get it with this shitty camera mount. So, all right. So again, I've got my 220 grit stacked up. I use Rhino Wet from Red Label Abrasives. Really, really good stuff. And I've got a couple different tools that I use for this. So I just take some old crappy files that I've gotten throughout the years, and I grind smooth the back, and I grind smooth one edge. All right, and so that's going to be my hard backed file that I just wrap the sandpaper around and go. And then when I need to blend in some lines and stuff, I kind of do the same thing. I have a half round that I ground down smooth, and then on this side I put some hard rubber backing that just gives you enough give to really blend in blend in your lines. So what's my sharpest knife? Probably a straight razor, I would say, because that goes to like a zero grind. You know, there's no secondary bevel on it, so definitely a straight razor. All right, so I'm just gonna hit it with some Windex or glass cleaner as I go along. All right, kind of helps lubricate the process. And then I always start with the flat and then work my way into the bevel. So the great thing about this wrought iron is it hand sands beautifully. So it doesn't take a whole lot of time or effort to get out your scratch lines from your previous grit on the wrought iron part. Now when you get to the high carbon part, it's a little bit different, but it's one of the reasons why I really enjoy working with this wrought iron. Just hitting the flat of the blade first. I'm pretty sure the last 2 live streams I've done have been hand sanding. So not the most exciting streams, but definitely an important aspect of making knives, especially if you want to get to a certain audience or certain clientele that is looking for something other than machine finished blades. Okay, once you start feeling that sandpaper stop cutting, go ahead and switch to a different section. No point in wasting time using sandpaper that's worn out. Sandpaper is cheap, time is expensive. That's the way I look at it. All right, I'm just gonna keep going. I'm just checking the comments as I go. I don't want to miss anybody's comments there. Can you show me your sharpest knife? Dude, my sharpest knife was sold months ago. I don't keep my knives. So I make them, I sell them, I move on to the next one. I'm just looking for all the scratch lines from the previous grit, making sure they're gone, and all my lines are going this direction, you know? So, let's see, I missed one there. All right. How much did I sell for? I don't know. I can't remember. Honestly, I do not remember. Like I said, the outer jacket of this knife is wrought iron, so it sands and grinds really, really easily, which is awesome. It's just got that great character that wrought iron has, a very organic look to it. All right, so wipe that off. Sorry, guys, been kind of fighting the cold for a bit, or flu, or whatever the hell it is. All right, so now I'm just looking. I can see along my spine, I'm good. My edge, I'm pretty good. I've got a couple little spots here, and then I can still see, obviously, the parts I haven't really hit. I can see all the other sanding lines. So, and I'll show you kind of what I do in between grits or after I get done with a grit. Because right now, all my lines are going to be going this way. If I come back with the next grit and go that same way, it's going to be hard to see if those lines are gone. So what I do is after I'm done with this grit, I'll take a section, I'll do like circles or I'll do cross hatches. That way when I come in with the next grit and go this way, I can see those lines and make sure they're gone. So it'll make sense when I get there. So not putting a whole lot of pressure down, just letting the sandpaper do its work. You don't have to kill yourself here, especially once you get up into the higher grits. All you're really doing is polishing. You're not really taking off a whole lot of material. So just gonna work. Now we're kind of hitting those bevels. The cool thing with this wrought iron is the more you sand it or grind it, the more character comes to the surface. Like I'm seeing all these little inclusions or different parts in the wrought iron that they're just really cool, and they're gonna etch really, really neat. So the goal today is to get to the etch, so you guys can kind of see what the finished blade is gonna look like. And then tomorrow I'm gonna start on the handle, which is gonna be really, really cool. So definitely stay tuned. I might do another live stream tomorrow on the handle process. We'll see. So again, if you have any questions or want to see something, please go ahead and throw it in the chat. And I will show you or cover whatever you guys want to talk about. Doesn't have to be about this project. We can talk about other projects, or if you've got a question about another process or something that you've seen before. All right, so we'll wipe and see where we're at. All right, so we've got a couple little swirls there, a little bit here. So just some real light lines along the flat, or along the flat part of the bevel. And then I've got that secondary bevel that I'll come in with the softer back one and hit. So I'm gonna do one more pass with the hard backer, and then I'll switch to my little softer one and clean everything else up. Yeah, I've only recently gotten my hands on wrought iron, and it's a lot of fun to work with. Totally different than high carbon steel, and different feel to it. It welds differently. It's just some really cool stuff. So definitely going to be looking to do some more projects with it in the future. I have more time. I've got a whole box of it right now. So. I don't want to neglect the tip here. All right, let's take a peek. Should be ready for the soft backer. All right, so now I'm going to switch over here, and I can show you, see if maybe the camera will pick it up or not. Okay, so you can see the edge is dark. So that's from the etch that I do in between, right? So I've got to clean that up with the soft backer here. And I've got just some super light lines right here at the edges that I'll clean up as well. So that is the plan. Now that's the next step here. Get you back in frame. All right. Tear a little bit of this off to get rid of it. All right. And it's just cheap glass cleaner. Make sure you get the one with ammonia, okay? That way it doesn't rust your blade. And now I'm going to start on the edge. Getting rid of all the etched portion. That'll tell me when basically that's good. Right in there. Kind of a hard little spot to get right there. Always make sure you know where your fingers are in relation to where that edge is. This is really easy to slice a finger on this part. Especially if you're not careful and you have your edge leaning over your board or whatever you got it set on. Just gonna get right here in the plunge line area. I'm gonna come back in with my hard backer because it gets in this little crevice here a little easier. Make sure I get that taken care of. There we go. There we go. All right, let's take a little check. Drop a piece there. Yeah. All right, so I still got a couple little lines right here along that edge on that high carbon bit, which again is going to be harder to hand sand out than the wrought iron portion, right? So it's going to take a little more time. So we're just going to go back in and keep hitting it until it's all gone. So we're just going to focus on the high carbon cutting edge now, because that's where I saw the little shadows of the older grind lines from 120 grit. We're at 220 grit now. It's really important to always get, or to do as best you can anyways, the previous grit's lines out before you switch to the next higher grit. The last thing you want is to be going up to 400 or 800, and all of a sudden you find yourself trying to work out an 80 grit or 120 grit line, because that's just going to take forever. So spend the time, make sure you get all the last grit's lines out before you switch to the next higher grit. I feel like I'm saying grit a lot. Like I said, sandpaper is cheap. Time is expensive. Let's see how we're looking here. Got a little one there. Always look from different angles too, because the way the light hits it will show. But actually, all I see is this little line right here. All right, you guys are being quiet now all of a sudden. Feel free to put any questions in that chat if you want, or if you just want to sit there quietly and listen to me blabber on, feel free to do that too. Okay, that looks like I got it. All right, so now what I do, like I said earlier, is all my lines are going long ways down the blade, right? So if I come back with 400 grit and go long ways, it's gonna be hard to tell when I've gotten all those lines out. So what I'm gonna do with the 220 is I'm gonna come in here and I'm gonna do circles. Basically scuffing up the blade with a 220 grit paper. And I'm going to go all down the blade, make sure I get the edge, make sure I get the bevel or the plunge line. And now this will give me a series of scratch lines that I can work to get out when I switch over to the next higher grit. So that's one side done. All right, so this is the side we just did. This is the side we're gonna now work on, right? I always etch the blade in between the grits so I can see what the pattern's looking like, and it also helps get rid of some of those grind lines. So now we're gonna go and hand sand this side. So really cool. It's already, I mean, this is just 120 grit, and it's already looking super cool. So, all right, make sure that cutting edge is away from the edge of my wood board so I don't accidentally slice my finger, which has happened a lot. All right. Now, again, we're going to start with a hard backer. Again, this is just an old file that I ground flat and smooth, and I use it as my hard backer for hand sanding. So don't be afraid to modify your tools, especially if they're cheap, crappy ones from Amazon, to do what you need to do. So, all right, so I start on the flats. Again, this wrought iron works really, really nicely. It's nice and soft, so it doesn't take a whole lot of effort to get rid of those 120 grit grind lines. Always know where your fingers are in relation to that edge. Okay, it is very easy to cut yourself. That's why I always grind off the teeth, because you see that the sandpaper slipped, and if these had the original teeth on there, I would have a deep gouge from the file on my blade that I would then have to work out. So if you're going to do this method, make sure you do a good job of grinding out those teeth. Okay, again, feel your sandpaper, see if it, if it's dead, it's dead. Move on to a new piece, Hey, how's it going, Michael? Massachusetts. How's the weather up there? Hope it's warmer than it is here in Michigan. Okay, I can feel that sandpaper's got no life left in it, and I'm going to move on to a new little piece. And you can definitely hear it and feel it as you're working on the piece. You'll feel it stop cutting. You'll hear a different sound. My phone may not be picking that up, but I can hear it here. Really focus on that tip. It's easy to neglect the tip of the knife and leave some deeper scratches there. Don't be afraid to work that tip. That's just a good life lesson. Never neglect the tip. Okay, and I've just got this little piece back here. I'm just going to use it to get in my plunge line before I switch to a new piece. It's not really going to be good for much else. If I had thought about it, I would have set this blade up so I could have rounded out my plunge line with my waterfall platen, but hindsight's 20/20. That's all right. This particular knife style doesn't have a ricasso area. It basically just goes right in from cutting edge right into handle. So a little bit different of a setup than I normally used to, but nice little challenge to get that looking right. Okay, go and switch. Take a look. The tip's looking pretty good. A couple little lines right there, up there. But all right, we'll do another couple passes with the hard backer, and then we'll switch this up. What we got here? Hey, all right. How we doing, Andrew? I'm right outside of Detroit myself, so welcome to the live stream. Somebody else is no. Okay, we're good. I'm not sure who put writing in like Russian script, but I can't read that, bro. So sorry. I speak two languages, English and bad English. And maybe a little bit of bad Spanish. That's about it. Mainly just the swear words. Normally, this is a lot more fun when you have music playing, but you know, thanks to YouTube's restrictions, I can't play music. So, yeah, that's where I'm living right now, man. At least for a little while longer until Uncle Sam decides to move me. So. All right, there we go. I think we're back. I think I lost you guys for a minute there, but one more pass with the hard backer, and then we'll switch it over to the, the soft one. Yeah, you know, it's a small world, ain't it? So we got here, Uncle had me for 20 years. Looking pretty good, at least to my eyes. All right, let's go and switch over to the soft backer. And again, when I say soft backer, it's a harder rubber, so it's not super soft, but it's got enough give that it helps blend in different lines. So not too fast. Sounds like a personal problem. You should work on that. Try different breathing techniques. It might help. Right, so focus on that cutting edge. Blending in that secondary bevel that I put on this bad boy. Looking for all those little scratch lines from 120 grit. Make sure they are all out before we move on. Let's see what I miss here. I'm doing all right. Is it Ike or Ikey? I think it's Ike. Doing all right. What's the metal blend? So I've got wrought iron on the outside and then high carbon steel on the center. So smithy is too cold to be in for significant amounts of time at all. Yeah, that's why I've got 2 heaters out here going, and a lot of times I've got the forge going in the background, but it's too loud, so I can't have that going today. So yeah, I probably got some crappy reception out here, bud. So this one is a special project. So this one won't be for sale, but I do have a blade currently for sale that's got the same mix up for sale. It's more of a Bowie knife style. That one is currently up for sale. So if you check out my Instagram or Facebook or X, you can check that out. I've got a bunch of pictures of it on there. So. Yeah, I don't get the greatest reception out here in the shop, unfortunately. So, do what I can, especially with the garage door closed, you know. So, excuse me. All right, just checking for grind lines or sanding lines. I see a couple real light ones here, so I'm just going to keep going. I'm going to show you guys, see if you can. I know the camera won't pick them up, but I see one right there, a couple here, and along this part. Sorry, I'm all snotty. My whole household's been sick the last few weeks, so we're all still trying to get over it. Real light line, so it shouldn't take too much longer to get out. And then we'll work on the spine. And then it'll be time to go back into the acid to help remove the 220 lines. And we'll bring you along for that process as well. So. But I also do take custom orders, man. So feel free to send me a message on, like I said, X, Facebook, Instagram. If you're interested in a custom order, I've got plenty of this wrought iron left. So if you're really interested in a blade that's got wrought iron or this kind of look, then shoot me a message, hit me up, and we'll talk. Take another peek. All right. From different angles, I think we got it. All right, so now, like I did with the last one, if you guys weren't here for that one, what I do now is, since all my lines are going this way, lengthways down the blade, I'm going to come in here and I'm going to do a bunch of circles and basically scuff up the blade with the 220 grit. So when I now come back with 400 grit and I go this way, I can see those little swirly lines to get out. So this is just how I do it. Everybody kind of does this part differently. This is just what works for me. So I can make sure I get all those previous grind lines out, or sanding lines. All right. Okay. Show you where we're at here. So you can see I scuffed up the blade now with the 220 grit. And now we're going to take it over to the vise here, and we're going to do this spine here and the going off to the tip. So let's go ahead and do that next. Let me bring you along with me. Okay, if there's something else you guys want to see, oh, I hit my damn heater. Something else you want to see, just let me know. Gladly show you around the shop or show you different processes that I do. It's pretty much whatever you guys want to see. Show you. Here we go, got it locked in there. Okay, now again, same thing. We're going to start with the hard backer. Let's do just a little bit of spray on there. And now I'm going to switch up to my softer one here. And kind of just round off the edges a bit. Never really want to leave sharp points on the spine, unless you're trying to get something that's going to like throw a spark with a ferro rod or something. Then you want to leave real nice rounded off corners. Okay, and then I'm going to finish it up by going crossways. And that is pretty much all you need to do. This one doesn't have a ricasso or anything, so I don't have to worry about that part. All right. So now what I like to do is I'm going to take this. Well, first I'm going to clean it off. A little bit of Windex. I'm going to take this over to the acid, and I'm going to let it soak in there for a few minutes. And what that'll do, number one, it'll, again, give me a test look at what the pattern's looking like. And number two, it will help actually kind of dissolve or break down the 220 grit grind lines that I've got in here, and will make 400 grit sanding and hand sanding a bit easier to complete. All right. And again, cool thing with wrought iron is you always get, I don't know if the camera's gonna, yeah, you always get these little inclusions just from the manufacturing process of making wrought iron. It's nothing that's going to hurt the blade because this is just outer cladding, right? It's nothing structural within the blade or any of that stuff. It's not like a seam opening up along the spine or anything like that. Although with the wrought iron, you can see like the seams and stuff, which is kind of weird to see. But as long as you can't get a fingernail in them, you know they're nothing crazy. But yeah, so that's what I do here, and show you. I just use ferric chloride acid mixed with 4 parts distilled water and 1 part acid. All right, my thing looks like it's ready to fall over, but all right, I just have it in like a PVC tube here. I've had this thing for years, so it's all messy. All right. Distilled water, just give it a quick little rinse. And we'll pop it in the acid here for a few minutes. Pull it out, check it out. It's cold in here, so the acid will take a little bit of time to do its magic. So let's put a clamp on it. And we'll just let that kind of hang out and do its thing. So in the meantime, if there's something anybody wants to see or talk about in the shop, let me know. I'm going to go get a Kleenex here real quick. I'll be right back. Beautiful. A little coffee break here, a little coffee break action. So anyways, yeah, so the blade is in the acid right now. Again, just going to leave it in there for like 5 minutes or something like that. Just kind of let that acid do its magic. And this also helps me see when I'm hand sanding at 400 grit now, when have I gotten all those lines out, because that acid will settle in any of those deeper lines and they'll stay dark during the sanding process. So it'll be easier to see when I've removed all of the 220 grit sanding lines and are good on 400 grit. The goal with this blade is to get it to 800 grit, and then we'll do a deep etch in the ferric chloride. And then I think I'm going to heat up my gator piss because it's too cold for the gator piss to work. We're going to heat up the gator piss, and then we'll let it finish off in that. The last blade I did with wrought iron, I only did it in the ferric chloride, and I didn't leave it in there super long. So I didn't get a super deep etch. And now I don't even know if ferric chloride is the right acid to use for wrought iron. I've heard some people use, what's it called? Muriatic acid. And I've got some. It's just older, and it tends to gas off a bit, and it makes everything in the shop like have a fine layer of rust. So I really don't want to use it. So I'm going to see if I can get a nice deep etch with just maybe letting it hang out in the ferric chloride a little bit longer than I did with the last knife. And the last knife looks awesome. Here, let me grab it. I'll show y'all. So this is the last knife I did with the wrought iron. It's currently up for sale. This is just a small Bowie knife. It's got a wrought iron guard, like a red spacer, and then African black and white ebony, which I, did some texturing on and stuff like that, some filing. So yeah, so not a super deep etch, and in this light it's kind of hard to see a lot of the figure, but you can see it in there. It's really neat. The guard, again, has that same figure in there. So yeah, so this is literally the first knife I did with wrought iron cladding, right? And it turned out great just in the ferric chloride. Like the black is super black. I just wanted a little deeper etch on there. So I'm gonna see if maybe if I just leave it in there a bit longer, if it'll give me a little more detail there. But yeah, so this knife is currently for sale. It's just a nice little, I mean, you could do this like as everyday carry, a little vest, kind of a vest knife or whatever. It does have my logo in there. It's just hard to see right now. I wasn't sure with the wrought iron how deep I wanted to laser etch, so I just kind of played it safe. But it is in there. So yeah. But yeah, so this knife is really nice. And I texturized there. It looks really cool. So don't think Ricasso makes a difference. You have a guard up to your blade. It doesn't. Some people like the Ricasso because they want to choke up on the guard like this. But then also what a Ricasso does is it allows you to be able to sharpen all the way right up to there. If you didn't have the Ricasso, there's always going to be a little spot in your blade, or sharpening choil. There's always going to be a little spot in your knife that never gets sharp, and it's going to look a little weird as you sharpen that knife. So that's kind of the logic behind a Ricasso or a sharpening choil. I'm getting crap all over this now. I'm making my knife dirty. So yeah, but yep. So that's this little guy. I had a lot of fun working with this. It's the first time I've ever done this kind of carving on a handle. One of my friends suggested this kind of style, and I think it fits the handle really nicely. The handle kind of flares out a little bit from the guard, so it just kind of fits really well. So really happy with this knife. So all right. What was that? For mine, I like the contrast of brass. Absolutely. And I had thought about doing brass, but I had a little bit of the wrought iron left over, so I figured put a little wrought iron guard on there. So, all right, I'm going to put this away, and then I think I've blabbed on it long enough. We'll pull the, if I don't hit it, we'll pull the knife out of there and go back to the table. Coffee. All right, let's see what this knife looks like. Oh yeah, it's looking good. I don't want to get acid everywhere, but here's our knife now. Okay, you can really see that wrought iron popping out there. Looks really cool. Okay, so I'm going to hit it with some baking soda and water to neutralize the acid. I mean, you could literally just finish this blade like this and it would be fine, but we're going to go that little extra step. I need to put more water in here. All right, good enough. All right, so again, there's a little test etch. Again, this is 220 grit. This side really has got some really nice bands on that wrought iron. This side's kind of just got more flat stuff, so that's interesting. That wrought iron's got different composition from different bits. All right. Okay, let's try to get you back where I had you. Okay, so now we're going to hit this with a little bit of Windex just to get another precaution to stop any of that acid. A quick little wipe down. I mean, you can see, I mean, even at this point, wiping it down and everything, that it still stays black and looks really, really nice. So ferric chloride definitely does its job for sure. I would just like a little bit deeper etch on that wrought iron. I want to be able to feel it. I can feel somewhat. Feel a little bit of the ridges and stuff. Okay, enough of me blabbing. And back to the same process. Get that clamped up there. Hey, how you doing, Ray? Good morning. Thanks for stopping in. We are doing some hand sanding today. Get rid of the 220 and grab my 400. All right, and just like we did last time, we are going to do 400 on here. Ever heard of James Baston, Covenant of Buenos Aires? I have not. I have not indeed. Yeah, you know it, Ray. You know how much I love hand sanding. All right. So again, this is 400 grit. We're going to start on the flats. You can't really see what I'm doing, can you? There you go. That's a little bit better. That plunge line while we're down here. Now this part, like this grit, shouldn't take very long. So if we did a good job with our previous grits and getting all the deeper scratches out, this one should literally just take about one piece of sandpaper per side if we're lucky. And we may get some stubborn little bits or something, little stubborn little spots here or there. Things have been going well, man. Just staying busy, that's for sure. I'm not going to be in Michigan too much longer. The Army has deemed it appropriate to send me on my way to my next location. Had a good 5-year run here in Michigan, so can't complain there. Especially since I only did 2 years in Pennsylvania. I'll take a 5-year stay in a spot. Okay. Again, once you stop feeling that sandpaper working, switch to a new spot. A new little piece. It's funny, I can actually feel when I'm going over the wrought iron and the high carbon, I feel these little ridges. Like I can definitely feel a difference difference in where the sandpaper is hitting. It's kind of cool. Especially when I kind of do the long things. I do know where I'm going. I just can't say it this time. Gotta kind of be careful. So, when I'm west, you had 4. I've only ever had 1. So I'm military police, and I started off enlisted, and then in 2008, I switched over to the dark side and took a direct commission as a military police officer. So, wipe that off so we can kind of check. And yeah, I've already pretty much cleared up all this. I just got a few down here. And again, etching the steel kind of helps me know where I still need to hit, because obviously it'll be dark. And it really highlights those scratches. So I take it you're not a fan of MPs, huh? Or is it officers you're not a fan of? Or both? Excuse me. Work the high carbon edge here a bit. Again, with 400 grit, pretty much anything over 120 to 220 grit, all you're doing is polishing. You're not taking away very much material at all. You're really just trying to get out those scratches from the previous grit. So if you're trying to adjust a bevel line or a plunge line or something, or a false edge, you're better off either taking it back to the grinder or switching down to a lower grit, because you're not going to make many changes or much progress with a 400 grit or higher. All right, that's looking good. Switch over to the soft backer now. All right, Alexander, how you doing, man? Hey, I hate to tell you, but MPs have to have some of the highest scores on the ASVAB to enlist. So I don't know what MOSs you were, but just saying. When I'm making a knife and I'm hand sanding a knife, so at least with a ball in front of me, I still get a choice. Yeah, see, you paid for your rank a couple different times. I have not. I've only gone up, which is kind of surprising. I was a little hellion back in my young days. Never thought I'd make it to lieutenant colonel. All right, got a spot here I want to get. And that's why I like this hard rubber backer, because it really helps blend in these lines and get those little spots that are hard to get with the harder back. Some long strokes here to help reveal any previous ones. Okay. Looking good. All right, what we got here? Looks like a lot of work. It is a lot of work. But it's going to look awesome when it's done. So, yeah, I'm not a ring knocker. Like I said, I started off enlisted, and I took a direct commission after getting back from Iraq. My commander and first sergeant sat me down, and they knew I had a college degree. I was an E5, and they asked me if I'd ever thought about taking a direct commission, become an officer. I said, why the hell would I want to do that? My first sergeant looked at me and said, because I asked too many fucking questions. They threw the packet at me. All I had to do was sign it, get a picture taken, and go did a physical. Went to a board. He interviewed me, and then 6 months later, I got a packet in the mail saying, congratulations, Congress has seen fit to commission you as an officer. So I had a very interesting route to where I am to today. So let's see what we got here. Make sure I don't miss anybody's comments here. Scored a 94 on the ASVAB. Never enlisted. Oh, man, you got a 94. You should have gone through. Could have done a lot of stuff with that score. All right, so we're looking good here. So again, gonna scuff it up. So as long as you do a good job with the lower grits, once you get to these higher ones, you really don't have a whole lot of work to do. Okay, so that's 400 on that one side. Flip it on over and do the other side. So again, here's where we're at on the side we just finished up. Okay, this is the side we're going to go ahead and hit now. All right, take away all that etching. And make sure the cutting edge is not hanging over the edge of the wood here so that I don't accidentally slice my finger. Let me see what we got here. Take a little coffee break and catch up on some comments here. Did a few restorations yourself. One thing I hate is prep and sanding when I need to paint something. Yeah, that hand sanding is not my favorite part of the process, but it does set a good quality knife apart from something that's not as good. So that's my philosophy. I don't want to put down any knife makers that don't do hand sanding. But yeah, hand sanding is not fun, that's for sure. And that's hand sanding on the blade. That's hand sanding on the handle or the guard or whatever. Luckily, this blade, the handle, is going to be pretty straightforward. It's going to be 2 round discs of brass surrounding a round disc of African ebony. Yeah, ebony. And then antler. So I'm not going to have to do a whole lot of hand sanding other than on these parts. And I'll obviously make this round so that it fits the rest. This blade is not going to have a guard. If anybody has some historical inkling to know why that is, that'll kind of tip the hand of what kind of knife this is going to be. So, all right. Aviation is most, yes, it is. Aviation is tough. I wanted to do aviation when I first started looking at in the Army, but my eyes aren't good enough, so could not do aviation. So, all right, let's get back to work. All right. Thanks, bud. Appreciate it. Yeah, I think the handle's really going to look nice. I'm debating whether or not I want to do some designs on the brass along the edges, or if I just want to leave it like a hammer textured. Kind of my favorite look. I don't know. It's going to be tomorrow's project, probably. So I got to have this blade done by a certain point. Again, I'm trying not to give a whole lot of details on this because it's a surprise gift, and I don't know if the person it's for follows me here on YouTube or not. And I don't want to tip my hat to the person that it's going to be receiving. So that's why I'm not going into a whole lot of detail. even on the style of knife that it is, because that could tip my hat to who it's for. So the biggest hint I gave was the handle construction. So that's all I'm going to say on that. So all this black stuff that you're seeing on here, that's not steel. That's just the etchant from the acid. So, like I said, 400 grit sandpaper is not going to remove a whole lot of material. So, let's see. Have you found that antler's not as good as it used to be? So the stuff I get is from a gentleman called New York Shed Antlers. And I think he gets most of his stuff from Poland or from somewhere over in Europe. And the stuff I get from him is incredible. It's nice and dense. It's got a real thick, I don't know what you call the outer portion, right? But the pithing on the inside isn't like all the way through. There's a really good dense antler in there. So this stuff is just beautiful. If you're ever in need of some good pieces of antler, check out NY or New York Shed Antlers. Really, really good dude. Has great stuff. His prices are very reasonable. So check that stuff out. So I don't do a whole lot of antler handles. They're pretty much just on special order. Like if somebody requests one, or I've got a special project like this one where I think it would fit well. But yeah, if I need an antler for a project, that's who I go to. So definitely give him a check. You can see him on Instagram, Facebook. I think he's on X. I can't remember. So yeah, he's got some great stuff. He's even started doing like water buffalo scales and different stuff like that. So he's kind of increased the stuff he provides. And again, it's really good stuff. So never had a problem with him. He's not from out of country. He's here in the U.S. So I always support U.S. businesses for as much as I can, especially when it comes to like handle material or whatever. Yeah, it's cool. The more we sand this and then etch it, the more of these little inclusions show up in the wrought iron, which again, that's just wrought iron, like that's just how it goes. But it looks really cool. If this was standard Damascus, I'd be concerned. Since it's not, and it's wrought iron, it's nothing to be worried about. It's just how it is. All right. Okay, let's switch over to the soft. What's that? Not fun for me, especially I'm missing a few fingers. Oh man, that sucks. Ooh, that's not good. Yeah, never pick up the spicy apples on the ground. Those tend to explode. That sucks, man. I'm sorry to hear that for you. Edge. Now, one thing to remember is as we're working towards this edge, we're removing material from the cutting edge. So this blade, even though we're not trying to get it sharp, and off the belt grinder, I get it kind of pre-sharp, it's going to get sharper and sharper as we work. So definitely be mindful of where your fingers are so you don't slice yourself. I do it all the damn time. Pretty much every one of my blades sheds blood somehow before it leaves the shop. Okay, just do some longer lines. Makes it a little easier to reveal any of the previous sanding lines. See how we're looking. Okay, I've got a couple here towards the edge, one up here. All the wrought iron looks good. So just a couple little ones here, some light ones more towards that edge. Let's see, let's do a little coffee break here and check out the comments. All right, hey, we actually got quite a few people watching. Awesome, that's great. Let's see here. Breathe, man. I am breathing hard. I've only used Mother Nature's. I've been meaning that. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I mean, if you've got like a forest that's around you, that'll provide pretty much everything you need for handle materials and stuff like that, especially antlers and bone and stuff. You can do some really cool stuff. I love getting material from different parts of the world. Like I've got bog oak from Ireland that a customer sent me for a handle. He sent me a big block of it, so I've got a bunch left over. I've got Irish Connemara marble that I've used for inlays and stuff. That natural material is I've got a cholla cactus wood from the U.S. Southwest that a buddy sent me to stabilize and stuff. Like, stuff is awesome. So I love doing that stuff. So, all right. Let's do one more pass on here, and then it's, again, time for a test etch. Well, we got to do the spine, I guess. But then we'll do a test etch and get on to 800 grit. So, all right, I don't know why. Hold on, let me adjust, Jays. There we go. That's a little better there. There it is. There we go. Okay. Might need another little bit of sandpaper. That's okay. Again, sandpaper is cheap. Yeah, I love using different materials from different regions, especially when like they mean something to the customer, and I can work it into to the design. I had one customer, he ordered a hatchet from me, and he wanted turtle shell used in the handle somehow. So I was able to get some turtle shell and use it as an inlay in the handle. It turned out really cool. I had a buddy help me, the Art of Craftsmanship. He's here on YouTube. He helped me work it into that. He does axes and stuff, kind of his specialty. Yeah, so this is a sand mine. So this has 3 layers. The outer layer on either side is wrought iron, and the inner layer is high carbon steel. All right, we're looking good there. So now we'll scuff it. Scuff it real good. Do. Scuff it good. Showing my age with that song. Make sure I get that tip. Remember, always work the tip. That's good advice in life, not just knife making. Alrighty. Liking that. See if the camera will pick up what I'm talking about with these little inclusions. All right. Need another towel here. All right. So again, with wrought iron, you always get, there you go, these little inclusions just from the process of making wrought iron. And it's nothing to be worried about. It's hard to see this side. They're a little smaller on this side. It's nothing to be worried about. The only time you'd really need to be worried about it is if they were all along the seam of where the wrought iron and the high carbon steel went together, and they look like they're delaminations. It's even the same thing on the back. You can't really tell right now. But there's these little seams that are going lengthwise. And at first, again, somebody that makes Damascus and stuff, you see those seams, you're thinking, oh crap, you know, it's not welded properly. But no, with wrought iron, that's just part of the wrought iron. So yeah, for my logo, I will use my laser that I've got, and I'll laser etch it in there. So it's a little cleaner than stamping or doing the electro etch. So, all right, so now let's do the spine again. We'll use a new piece for the spine and grab a new bit of towel. Yeah, I got a laser a year ago now, I think, and I love it. It's a lot of fun. I use it to cut out designs for knives. So I'll design a knife, then I'll trace it in software, and then I use my laser to cut it out. And then now I've got a pattern that I can use to repeat different designs and stuff. So, you know, like my Scout version 2 that I've done, you know. So now, hey, if somebody wants one of my Scout knives, bam, I can, you know, use this as my pattern and have consistent knife shapes for stuff like that. I also use it to cut out leather for my sheaths and stuff that the wife sews for me. So it's definitely a handy tool in a knife maker's shop, that's for sure. Okay, let's hit this up. Maybe you want to see what I'm doing here. There you go. Yeah, they're expensive, and obviously there's a bunch of different brands and styles out there you can go with. You just got to figure out, number one, what your budget is, and two, what exactly you want to do with it. I could have gone with a fiber laser, which would have been a little more useful for doing stuff on metal, but it's not as useful for doing leather and wood and stuff like that. So, you know, I went with the diode laser and a 20 watt, which is pretty powerful, and it does everything I need it to do in terms of getting my logo on and all that stuff. So, you know, just got to figure out what exactly you want to do and how much you want to spend. So there's a bunch of different options out there. Alrighty. Looking good. It's just weird seeing these little seams on here. My brain automatically thinks there's something wrong, you know? Alright. But again, it's just the wrought iron. So, alright. What do we got here? Needed to engrave lettering on some old hi-fi components. I mean, I assume it should work on that. I mean, again, just you got to look at what material you're looking at etching, and then look up what the different styles of lasers will do. Because you have basically, you have diode, you have CO2, and then you have fiber. Those are, I think those are the three main commercially available laser styles. So, all right. So we've got the blade up to 400 grit. It's looking nice. All right. Now we're going to go back in the acid, and then we will do 800 grit, and that'll be our finishing grit basically for the blade. So, and then we'll do our real etching process. All right, let's get you in here again, the water. In there. Bam. All right, now it's coffee break time. All right, let me grab my coffee. Be right back. All right, what do we got here? Going to check that out on eBay, finding the laser diode and 20. Yeah, so I've got the X-Tool 20 watt diode. So you can go check them out, Google them or whatever. I really like it. It's a really nice. It's a known company. You know, they've got a good reputation. I've never had an issue with them. Their software that comes with the laser isn't always the best, but there's other software you can use that's free that you can use for that laser. So, you know, just do some research, figure out what works for you. So, yeah, I don't know if a diode will do aluminum or not. I don't know because like if I'm trying to do brass, I've got to coat the brass with a spray, and then it'll etch that spray on. Same thing like with glass and stuff. So, but yeah. So now just do a little research, see what each laser will do because X Tool's got CO2, they've got diode, they've got fiber. Again, but you don't have to go with X Tool. You can go with whatever works for your budget and stuff. So, you know, everybody's got different needs and different capabilities and stuff. So, all right. So we're gonna let that kind of sit for about 5 minutes, and go from there. So, the other cool thing with the laser is you can make your own tumbler with all sorts of cool stuff. So I've got all sorts of fun little things on here that I'm into. So, yeah. So you can have a lot of fun with lasers. You know, Christmas gifts and stuff. Like I haven't had to pay for a Christmas gift for the family for a while. So, but yeah. So, yeah. All right. Does anybody want to see anything around the shop? There's my grinder station. I've got 2 Broadbeck 2x72s there. I've got a Hercules bandsaw there that I've kind of got rigged up in my vise that I use to cut all sorts of stuff out. Got my little cart here. That's a little utility cart that's got all my grinding stuff and everything. There's my post vise and anvils over there. Here, I'll do a little walking tour. All right, let's do a little walking tour here. Here's my post vise with all sorts of tongs and hammers and tools. There's my anvil, just a little 100-pound Vulcan. So nothing crazy. I got it off of Craigslist. There's my forge. It's a forced air ribbon burner. Made it myself. They're not that hard to make. So if you're interested in a ribbon burner, which can do a lot more, it's a lot more adjustable than a straight Venturi burner. You know, check that out. Coal Ironworks 16-ton forge press. That is the workhorse in my shop for making Damascus. There's my sword forge that I made up, so I can do some longer swords, and then just finishing table with odds and ends and stuff. In the back there, I've got my heat treating oven from oh shoot, who's that from? Just had a brain fart on who that's from. I'm sorry, I can't remember. So, dang it. I can't remember what brand that is. Oh well. Yeah, so like I said, the bandsaw here, it's just a portable bandsaw that I got at Harbor Freight, but I've got a couple bits of angle iron that come up and fit through the handle in this old machinist vise, and now I've got a bandsaw that I can use to cut out blanks or whatever. I've got a plasma cutter back there. Don't use it very much, but every now and then it comes in handy with cutting stuff out. I've got the drill press there, again, Harbor Freight. It's like their medium scale one or the medium one. It works, does what I need it to do. I've got a chop saw that I never use because it sucks. That's pretty much it, guys. So, yeah, that's my shop. You know, a lot of the stuff here was either made or found at garage sales or yard sales or whatever, flea markets. So, yeah, you can do a lot with a little. So don't feel like you gotta, spend $1 billion on tools and equipment. So, all right, let's see what our knife looks like. Oh yeah, it's looking nice. Okay, here she is, right out of the acid. Looking really good. I'm dripping acid all over the shop floor, but that's all right. See that? So it's looking really, really nice. I like it. Okay. Get it some baking soda and water. Definitely need to refill this. All right. There we go. Looking good. Trivia question. How many hammers does a blacksmith need? I don't know. How many? What's the answer? All of them. Yeah, there you go. You guys must have gone to the same comedy school. That's pretty good. All right. Okay, we are on to our final hand sanding grit, 800, which again is not going to take very long because of the fact that we did such a good job in the previous grits, removing all of the scratch lines. One thing I am going to do before I get started is I'm going to hit the edge here with my sharpening rods just to take away the acid. You can kind of feel where it ate away at that edge, and I'm going to just kind of take that away real quick. So I have a series of 4 sharpening rods. They go from coarse diamond up to fine ceramic. They're from DMT. They're not a sponsor or anything. I don't have any sponsors. It's just a good sharpening company. Keeping this at a relatively shallow angle, nothing crazy. I don't need this thing to be a giant razor blade, but I want it to have a good edge that'll be stout enough that if they're chopping wood or something, it's not going to chip out, but still sharp enough that they can gut an animal or skin an animal or something. And this just takes practice. Muscle memory of your different angles and stuff. All right. Good. Okay, I'm liking that. All right, so after our wrought iron's cleaned up, you can see all those different layers and stuff. That's what I love about the wrought iron, is it's just, again, it's like that, it's got an organic look to it. So super, super cool. Really, really like it. It's fun. Fun, fun, fun. All right. Let's hit this bad man of JAMA with some 800 grit. 400 away. Coffee. Alrighty. Oh, good stuff. All right, what do we got? Yeah, no, absolutely. Every knife has a purpose, right? Like, if it's a straight razor, then yes, you want to sharpen it to a certain point, right? But if it's a larger knife like this, that's not going to be used as a straight razor, you don't need to sharpen it like a straight razor. So, yeah, I mean, every knife has a purpose. No knife can do everything. So you need to sharpen them accordingly to their purpose. So, all right. 800 grit. Again, shouldn't take too much more than one of these. I'm just going to go nice and light. You don't need to put a whole lot of pressure on it. And all those cool inclusions really start popping out at this point. Really get into that plunge line. Give me a second. I got blow my nose, guys. Apologize. Starting to leak down my face. I know that's not the best YouTube content there, but hey, it's got to be done. So thanks for the tour and keeping this for real. Hey, absolutely, man. You know, that's why I'm doing these videos, is to not show the polished side of knife making. Is, hey, this is what it takes to finish up a good handmade knife, you know. It's not, it doesn't take a 20-minute YouTube video to finish a knife. It takes, you know, how long we've been going. We've been going almost 90 minutes here just to get through 3 levels of hand sanding. And it's not like I've been doing a lot of stopping the work and bullshitting, you know, like it's been pretty much straight work. So it takes time. This is why handmade knives are more expensive than the stuff you get at Walmart or Meijer or Dick's Sporting Goods or whatever. Not to say you can't get good knives from those places, you know, like a buck knife or whatever, but they're not, number one, they're not what they used to be. And number two, they're not going to retain their edge like a well-made, handmade knife is going to be. Just based on the fact that the materials that are used, especially the steel, is more high quality than what you're getting in mass-produced knives. So, let's wipe that down. Starting to clog up the sandpaper. Oh yeah, we're already almost to the good. Clear that out. What do we got here? Hey, no, you're good, man. You're speaking English a lot better than I'd speak any other language. I guarantee you that. So kudos to you. I would not have guessed that English was your second language, man. So what's your first language? That's what I'm curious about. Again, not putting a whole lot of pressure down. Just kind of going with the feel of the sandpaper. You can kind of feel when it stops gripping. First is Serbian. Oh, wow, cool. Not sure I've ever spoken to anybody from Serbia before. That's awesome. And your third language is German. That's awesome, man. Well, again, welcome. I appreciate you watching, spending your part of your day with us here. That's awesome. Really appreciate that. We got the KT Carito. Hey, how you doing, KT? Welcome to the live stream here. Doing some hand sanding on a wrought iron sand mine knife. All right. So at this grit, since this is going to be our final grit, we have to make sure that all of our lines are going long ways with nice, long, clean strokes. Even though we are acid etching this, so they will kind of go away and blend in, you want to take a little bit of extra time and really make sure you got nice, clean, long lines going this way, so that just in case some of those grind lines do show up, you don't have any like hook J's or anything kind of going a weird direction. So, second is Dutch. All right, nice. Very cool. Man, we got some bilingual and trilingual people on this stream today. That's awesome. That's really cool. I'm just doing nice even strokes all the way through so that I don't get any like hook J's or anything like that. Again, not as crucial when you're doing an etch, especially with like wrought iron, because it's going to kind of blend in with the patterning anyways. But all right, so I've got a couple super light scratches here towards the tip or towards the edge. We're going to take some time and take care of those. Again, I can feel the difference in the wrought iron and the high carbon steel. Like it's gripping the sandpaper differently. It's really cool. Just going to kind of follow this curve of the blade. There we go. See if those lines are gone, and they are. All right, so I'm going to call that good on this side. So now what I want to do is I don't want to chance that this tape is going to gunk up my nicely hand sanded side. You know what I mean? Because you can see it looks really nice and shiny, kind of like a nice brushed satin look. So I don't want, when I flip this over, I don't want this to mess up that finish. So I'm just going to take a little bit of my shop rag here and put that down, and I'll put a little bit of tape underneath it just to get it out of my way. This way I know it's not going to get scratched. So, all right, no worries, man. You take your phone call, do what you need to do. We'll be here. All right, so I'm going to put a little tape on there just to get it out of my way. Ouch. I ground off some of my fingernail the other day, and anytime I try to use it, it hurts. So, okay, now y'all are speaking German in the chats. Man, leaving me in the dust. Hey, all right, someone from Sri Lanka? That's awesome. That's cool. I'm going international with this channel now. All right, put a little tape on here. Okay. All right, we'll start. Actually, we'll save this for the spine. Coffee break. Cheers. All right, what we got here? Missing some comments. Yeah, I mean, it takes a lot of time. For me, making guards takes the longest time. It's filing that slot, making sure it's perfect. You know, I don't have a mill or anything like that. But like, I'm really really particular about the fit up on a guard. And if I don't get it as perfect as I can get it, I'll trash it and I'll start over. So I do tend to take a long time when I'm working on guards to get them fitting up right. Okay, make sure you guys can see. Get you a little closer here. I know, again, not the most exciting of live streams here, but important process in finishing a knife. Launching iPhone, 6 p.m. Hey, you gotta do what you gotta do, man. This will be, I'll post this up on my YouTube channel, so if you do want to watch it later or something, if you have to drop off, you can kind of see where the finished blade looks like after we etch it. You can do that. Pretty new to YouTube, so I'm still trying to figure out how to get everything, so it's posted right, people can see it after I'm done. It's 10:15 over there. Dang, man, you're way the hell over there. Holy crap! All right. Yeah. Oh yeah. I love my blue Dicom. Absolutely. Blue Dicom and a good pair of just dropping shit, and a good pair of what the hell are these called? I can't. What are these called? Somebody help me with this. Man, I'm having a brain fart kind of morning. Not bevel guards, but like grinding guards or whatever. Getting your getting your stuff taken care of. So, file guide, thank you. Appreciate it, Chris. I don't know why I couldn't think of don't know why I couldn't think of that term. But yeah, so a good file guide with those carbide inserts, right? This thing is worth every penny that you pay for it. You can use it to help you with plunge lines, use it to help you with your shoulders on your knife. I even use it now to help me with slotting guards. You put your guard in there and put that right along your bottom part that you don't want to grind or file past, and bam, makes you a nice perfect straight line. So I use them for just about everything now. So back to work, jeez. Clear off the sandpaper. These higher grits, your sandpaper will get gunked up, but it'll still have life left in it. So a little spurt of the Windex or window cleaner helps clear it out, gives you a little more time with it. Okay. What we got here? Shop looks similar, only shells are packed with a bunch of electronic boards. Nice. That's pretty cool, man. Yeah, Rhino Wet is what we call it here. It says it's also called Indasa. You see that? It's backwards on my camera, but yeah. It's good stuff. I love it. It lasts forever. It's not super expensive. It's readily available. I think you can even buy it with like a sticky backing on it. I don't use that, but I do see some people do. Again, make sure to get the tip really well. Very easy to leave scratch marks on the tip of the blade. People kind of are scared to hand sand it or to put a whole lot of time up there. They think they're gonna like break the tip off or something. But tell you, if you break the tip off your knife while you're hand sanding it, then your knife was not heat treated properly, or you ground it too thin. So don't be afraid. Your knife's a tool. It's going to get beat up. It should be able to withstand whatever you can put it through. So I test all my knives on a 4x4 piece of hardened white oak. If it can survive a few chops into that, I know the edge is good. So. Okay, let's see what we're looking at. All right, I think it's time to switch on over to the softer back. All right. Hey, appreciate you stopping in, Andrew. Appreciate it, man. All right, let's get this edge taken care of. Absolutely, man. I'm trying to do these live streams as often as I can, so I might have one tomorrow. I don't know. We'll see. We will see. Old used fine grit sandpaper can be very useful for polishing something. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yep. As long as it's not too beat up. You know, a lot of times the sandpaper I get through is all torn up and stuff. But, yeah, absolutely. If you can repurpose it and keep using it, that's even better. It'll save you some money. All right, we're looking pretty darn good here. Little spot up here towards the tip. It's still black, so I know I need to hit that a little bit more. Again, finishing off with nice, even, long strokes. That's what she said. Just following the curvature of the blade around. You don't have to do that way. That's just kind of how I like to finish it off. Looking nice. We'll do one more pass just to get everything nice and even up. That guy's just smudging. All right. Let's make sure I don't miss any of you guys' comments here. Really enjoy having the back and forth with you guys as we work. It's kind of fun, especially you hear different experiences or different methodologies that people use. Everybody does their process a little differently. Or people that are just curious about the trade and want to know why we do things a certain way. All right. I'm liking that. Looking good. Don't see any scratches or anything. All right, now we just got to do the spine here real quick. Now, one thing with the spine is always be careful if you get gunk and stuff in your vise. You don't want to scratch up your blade. So again, I'm going to use this as a protectant to kind of protect the finish here. And again, the more we've gone into hand sanding this blade, the more and more of those cool little inclusions in the wrought iron have started popping up. And again, that's just the character of the wrought iron. It looks really, really neat. So, all right, Take you over to the vise again. Okay. And I'm just gonna do that. Put that in the jaws. That way they don't scratch my blade. And this time I'm just gonna do the soft backer. No need to do the hard backer on this one. What we got here? The real parts around here, Sri Lanka. Use loose sand that's spread on some wet wood. Well, that's pretty cool. Huh. So it's like you make your own grit, or like your own sanding tool. That's pretty neat. I suppose that's probably how it was done back in the day before sandpaper was produced commercially. That's pretty neat. Yeah, it's always really cool to see people, like you said, kind of out in more rural or more, I don't want to be disrespectful, more primitive areas that don't have all the modern tools, how they're still able to make some absolutely gorgeous work using the most basic of tools. It's really neat. Okay. Again, just going to finish it off with nice, even, long strokes. Different strokes for different folks, as they say. There we go. And that is all she wrote on that. Okay, so now it's time to etch this bad boy for real this time. So we got to do a couple things. First, I'm going to, where do I want to bring you? Bring it back over here. First, I'm going to kind of bring this thing up to pre-sharp, right? I mean, it's sharp now. You can tell it wants to be sharp, but it's not where I want it to be just yet. So I'm going to go now with my fine diamond rod, and I'm going to hit it a few times until I hear the difference. Again, a lot of the stuff I do, or the way I can tell when something's done, is through feel and hear. So like you can hear the difference when a blade has reached a certain level of sharpness for that rod or that diamond grit or a block if you use a sharpening stone or whatever. You can hear it and I can feel it. It'll start skating across the file as opposed to kind of digging into the file. And that's my telltale sign that it is as sharp as it's going to get with that particular rod. So I'm just going to keep going just a couple more times. Again, setting your blade up to be sharp, to get sharp, is very important. If you start hand sanding and your blade isn't set up properly to be sharp, all right, I lost you guys for a second. Okay, so we went through that rod. We'll go through one more now, which is my fine ceramic rod. Okay. Try not to drop the knife. I can feel it at certain spots. It's kind of gripping that ceramic grit, so I can tell those spots are ones that need a little more work. And I always rotate my sharpening rod to make sure I'm not just wearing down one section of it. It is probably time for me to get new sharpening rods. I've had these things for a couple years now. They're probably pretty worn out. That's what we got to make sure I don't miss anybody here. 3D printed some vise liners for vise, some nylon. Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah. I've seen them out of like rubber and stuff like that, but I just get so much gunk around here, like just from grinding and hand sanding and all that. Just seems like everything turns into some level of sandpaper. The reason I'm doing this before I etch the knife is I want to be able to pull this knife out and just hit it with my finishing rod and not take away all that beautiful black etching. I just want a real fine white line for the sharpening line. I don't want to have this big long line where I've had to go through all my rods and stuff. So that's why I do it this way. Everybody does it different. All right, that is nice and sharp. Let's take a little piece of paper, this, I don't know, a little graphing paper. Make sure it's all the way through the edge, nothing's catching. Sorry, you can't see what I'm doing. All right, that looks good to me. Okay, so now we got to clean this off really well, and then we'll get it in the acid. You can already see the wrought iron's already starting to take on some oxidization coloring, and that's just wrought iron. It oxidizes super easily and quick. That's why after you etch it, if you leave it sit out after you clean it off really good, it's going to turn this brown muddled kind of color. That's just kind of what wrought iron is. So let's go ahead and clean this off really good. I use let's get some clean paper towel. There we go. Okay, I just use some heavy duty degreaser and get it away from my heater. Let that sit down there for a couple seconds. Let it kind of do its thing. Okay, just letting it sit on there, let it do its degreasing duty. Okay, and then we'll just wipe it off really good. See all the crap coming off it? That's what you want to get rid of. All right, it's looking good. This is really cool. I can already see, I don't know if the camera, yeah, so the camera picks up. You can see the wrought iron already since we've got it polished up really nice. Looks really cool. Make sure all that's off there. And then we're going to hit it with some Windex. Again, this is the stuff that's got ammonia in it. Okay. Rubber one, yeah, that's kind of what I found too. Now I've never used hard plastic ones. I might have to look for some of those and give it a shot. I've got leather on this one just to make some soft jaws. I do need to replace them though because they are full of crap. So I'm very hard on my workspace. All right, wipe that off really well. Okay, now we are ready to go into the etch. So let's bring you on over here. Again, ferric chloride. It's a 4-to-1 mix. 4 parts distilled water, 1 part acid. I always take some distilled water and wet down the blade. Just tends to help the etching process a little better. I don't know why, but it also helps get rid of any leftover residue we might have on there. And we're just going to go in. And I think I'm going to do probably 2 or 3 cycles on this one just to try to get a nice deep etch. And then I'll show you how I do my finishing process, which is a little different than some people do how they finish their etching. So we're gonna hang out for a little bit. We're gonna finish this off, and I'll show you how I do the finish. So let me grab my coffee, and we can, I guess, chat for a few minutes. All right. Yeah, the leather jaws have done good. They're easy to replace. They last a while. They grip really nice, especially when you're like hammering on a guard or something like that. They just, again, kind of with the rubber, they do tend to pick up some of the gunk that is in your shop. So you do have to be careful there, that's for sure. So, all right, we're going to let this go for a few minutes. We'll pull it out, we'll wipe it up, clean it, get all the oxides off as much as we can, then we'll go back in, you know what I mean? So, yeah, for sure. Yeah, you really do. I've never had mine dry out, but I've had it start picking up some gunk. It gets impregnated in there. So you do have to be careful there. I'm sure there's a way to clean that out of there. I just, there's small strips of leather, so you just pull them off, cut new ones, glue them on, and bam, you're good to go. So. Oh yeah. All right. Yeah, this is the part of the process that just kind of sit and wait and let the acid do its thing. It is a bit colder. Let's see. It's warmed up to 46 degrees in the shop right now, Fahrenheit. Don't know what that is in Celsius, but so it's the acid is colder, so it does take a little longer to do its thing, but it does its job. It works. It's kind of moving around a little bit while it's in there, just to make sure I'm not getting any bubbles or anything on there. It's going to prevent it from etching. But yep. Have you tried making leather handle for a knife? Yes, I've done the stacked leather, like in a traditional K-bar knife or traditional fighting knife kind of thing. I've done that quite a few times. So it's fun. It's a fun process, and it feels great in the hand too when you get it finished off really well and stuff like that. It does feel really nice. So I was actually thinking about doing that for another knife here coming up soon. Just a fun project, but this knife came up and didn't really call for a leather handle. So this one kind of came up last minute. So I had to knock this one out before I do some traveling for work. So yeah, but all right. Yeah, this is always a good time to clean up your shop if you're waiting for the acid to do its thing. Just cleaned up yesterday, and my grinding station's already a mess again from this knife. So yeah, it's always going from one mess to another, you know. But yeah, again, if anybody else out there, so we've got 42 people watching. If anybody else wants to throw anything in the comments or wants to see anything or talk about anything, please feel free to throw them out there. Pretty much talk about anything you want, as long as it's appropriate for YouTube. So, yeah, I don't really think there's much else I can show you guys. I've pretty much showed you the whole shop. Yeah, pretty much. Seen the whole shop here. Just kind of give you the tour again, I guess. So all my stuff. I do need to get a new camera holder though. This thing's damn near about ready to fall apart, so I do need to get that taken care of. But that'll be another project for another day. Let's see what we're looking like here. Blade is looking good. See that? Okay, but again, I want a deeper etch, so I'm gonna let that go for a few more minutes. I'm gonna wipe it off to get all those oxides off, so that then when I dip it back in there, the acid can eat away more and go a little deeper. So, oh yeah, yeah. My shop is never clean. It's just messier at times than other times. So yeah, there is no clean in this shop. So that's for damn sure. But yeah. So all right, yeah. I'm kind of running out of things to talk about. So I want this knife to hurry up and etch. I'm stepping on something. Ugh. Forge a camera holder. That might be a little difficult. That might be a little bit beyond my skill of forging. But forge a new tripod would be a bit heavy. It'd be stout. It would last. It would last forever. But it might be a bit too heavy, a bit too cumbersome. Yeah. So let's see. What else to talk about while we wait for this acid to do its thing? I don't know. Let me grab some paper towel, and I'll move it over here. That way I can keep the camera over here. Different piece. All right. So basically, what we're going to do is we're going to pull the blade out of the acid. It's ferric chloride, 4-to-1 mix, 4 parts distilled water, 1 part ferric chloride. We're going to pull it out. I'm going to rinse it out, wipe it off with the towel, and then I'm going to go right back into the acid to let it keep doing its thing. So we'll go ahead and do that now. because I'm getting impatient. Let's take a peek here, what we're looking at. The acid drip off a bit. Okay. Here she is. There's one side. It's looking really nice. There's the other side. I tell you, that this side is my favorite side. It's those bands look really, really cool. This side looks nice, but it doesn't have all the different layers and stuff. All right, so let's go ahead and rinse her off real quick. Just again with the distilled water. I'm just going to give it a little wipe. See all the oxides coming off? I want to pull those off so that the acid can get to more of that metal and keep working its magic. But I mean, even at this point, like you could just finish the knife like this and it would look perfectly fine. But we want to go for a little deeper look if we can. All right, so got all that off of there. Gonna wet it down again. Back into the acid. And we'll probably say this will be the last one because again, I'm getting impatient. And I want to show you guys how I finish it off so that it stays black and all that stuff. So, yeah, ferric chloride was actually originally designed for cleaning circuit boards. I think it was also called like PCB acid or something like that. So, yeah, that's I guess what it that's what it was originally designed for. So, who would have thunk it works well for revealing steel patterns for Damascus and stuff. Here, let me show you. Actually, let me show you something. This is another knife I just finished up. This is Damascus 550 layer Damascus with nickel shim and then the high carbon cutting edge. This lighting kind of sucks, but can't really see a whole lot in here. Can't really see a whole lot of that pattern. There it is. So yeah, so this is out of the gator pitch that I use for Damascus and stuff. It tends to leave a little bit of a shinier kind of look. Again, the lighting in here kind of sucks. Let me see if maybe if I get under this light, if it's better. Yeah, there you go. There you go. Now you can see it. So, yep. So this one is really cool. It's got the nickel shim in there, so you can see the bright lines. No, the camera, there they are. You can see those bright lines. That's the pure nickel. But yeah, not for cleaning PCB. Sorry, man. Yeah, there you go. So it's another blade I finished up that's for sale. This was a lot of fun. It's kind of like a little mini cleaver kind of thing, or I think it'd be a good camp knife or good skinning knife, or gutting or something. It's basically a big razor blade. So that one's also available, which I don't normally have more than one knife available at a time. It's just with working with on some big projects, I need kind of some side project knives, and these ones just kind of came into existence. Let's take a peek, make sure the acid is etching evenly and not streaked or anything. Looking good. Okay. Give it a few more minutes. All right. So what I'm going to have to do, though, so I'm warning you guys that are watching, I need to turn on my air compressor so that it can fill up so I can dry this knife off. So the process that I use for finishing a knife out of the etch, and that's either out of gator piss or ferric chloride, is remove it from the acid, neutralize it with baking soda and water, and then rinse it off, and then blow all the moisture off it and dry it off really good. Then I take some real soft wax that my buddy sent me, put that on, heat it up until the wax kind of bakes into the blade, let it sit. That kind of locks in all those oxides, and they don't wipe off very easily. I mean, you can wipe them off if you really scrub. But yeah, so that's kind of my process on finishing anything that's being etched. I'll show you. Obviously, I'm going to walk through the process with it. It's just going to get kind of loud when we get to that point. So, hey, appreciate it, Ryan. Thank you. You should partner with a local woodworker to make a sick handle. For this knife, I've already got the handle picked out. But I use local woods as much as I can find them, and local materials. It's just the handle making process is something I have to do here in shop. I don't really send my knives out to get handles made for them, but I do buy handle material from local makers or makers here in the U.S. as much as I can. So I've never tried electro polishing a blade. I'm not really sure what that process is. I'll have to look that up. So. All right, you know what? Again, I'm going to give the acid just a couple more minutes to do its job. I'm going to kick on my compressor real quick. So this is probably a good time to turn your volume down because the compressor gets kind of loud. So fair warning, it's going to get loud real quick. All right, you've been warned. I told you it's loud. No water in here. Baking soda and water. All right. Baking soda and water. Okay. All right. I did warn y'all that it's going to be loud. Okay. Once that thing shuts up, I'll talk about the process. All right. Should be almost done. Only 5 gallons. I'm going to bring you over here. And let's see. What's the best way to position you? All right. So I'm going to go back over there. I'm going to grab the knife, spray it off with the baking soda and water, then rinse it off with the distilled water. Bring it over here. Hit it with my compressed air until it's perfectly dry. Then I'll bring it back over to the bench and I'll hit it with some of that wax and stuff. And actually, that'd be easier to just leave you over by the bench. A wider angle shot. Oh, thank God. All right. So again, I'm going to kind of leave you here so that way you can kind of see everything. Going to bring it over there after I neutralize the acid. I'm going to dry it off with the compressed air, then come back over here, hit it with the soft wax, which is this stuff. All right, I don't know what the mix is. My buddy made it for me, but it works great. And then melt that in with a heat gun. And then after that, you'll see you let it sit, but those oxides basically bake in, and it lasts. It does a really good job. I mean, you saw what the other 2 knives look like. It's the same process I use. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. After I get done drying it, I'm just going to go turn the compressor off so it's not super loud for everybody. So I'm going to jaunt off camera real quick, turn the compressor off, then I'll come back over here and hit it with the wax. So, all right, here we go. Okay. Pretty sure you can see everything. I don't know, maybe not. Let that acid drip off. No, can you see me? Oh, I'm just off camera. Sorry. Then it with some baking soda and water. Neutralize any of the acid that's on there. Rinse it off with the distilled water. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to show you what happened. I'm going to have to figure out what's going on. There's this little streak here, and there's one on the other side too that I'm not really happy with. I don't know if it's from the baking soda and water or something. So I'm going to clean this off real quick. I'm going to wipe it down, dip it back in the acid, and then redo this whole process real quick. Not going to leave it in there very long, because I think it's just from the baking soda and water, and I don't want that left in the blade. So I'm going to wipe this off real quick. Make a mess in my shop, of course. Don't want that streak there on the cutting edge. Make sure it's gone. Yeah. All right, so I'm going to give it a quick dip back in the acid. Hopefully that thing goes away because it's still there. I can't really see it in this lighting, but it is still there. I don't want it there. So we're going to see if the acid can eat through whatever the heck that is there. All right. Back to the acid. I don't really know what that little streaky line was from. The only thing I can think of is might have been the baking soda and water or something. I've never had it do that before, so that's kind of weird. So we're going to see if the acid can eat through that and take care of it. So electropolishing makes sense after you explained it in terms of electroplating. You know what I'm saying? Huh. That's pretty cool. I'm going to have to give that a shot. It's kind of neat. Where'd my coffee go? There it is. All right, so we're gonna do this one more time. All right, we're gonna rinse that off, go over there, blow it off, come back. I'm gonna turn the compressor off because obviously that's annoying. And then we'll finish it off with that wax. So hopefully that little streaky part goes away. If not, then that's just gonna be part of the blade. So it happens. So who knows? Who knows why it's happening like doing that? But it is. So all right, make sure. Trying to get you can pretty much see everything, but might not be able to. So it's high spots first and done right. Electrode concentration 10. Huh. Oh, pretty cool. Yeah, I've never heard of that. I wonder. I'm gonna have to give it a shot in a knife. That's kind of neat. All right. Let's see here a little bit. See what it looks like by itself. Okay. Okay, so now looks good. I'm going to take this paper towel here and wipe on some of the soft wax. A good amount too, so don't want to skimp on this part. Nice liberal coating. And you can see none of the oxides are wiping off, right? It's because you're wiping it with the wax first. Those oxides are staying on the blade. They're staying put where you want them. Sorry, I'm kind of doing this off camera. I'm just trying to hold it so I can see it. Good liberal application of this wax. Okay, and again, none of those oxides are wiping off on the paper towel. That's kind of to kind of bake in those oxides. Get our good old handy dandy Harbor Freight heat gun. It's all wound up along stuff. And we're gonna hit this until all that wax melts into the blade. And we'll give it a quick light wipe and then let it sit. Let it sit for a few hours. Oh, I just popped my circuit breaker. Oh, it's because my heater is on. Too much stuff plugged into the same damn thing. There's no OSHA here in this workshop. I want to make sure it gets nice and melted in there. Hey, welcome. Bullpan. Man, we got people from all over the world here. This is awesome. I've noticed a couple spots here where there's like some lighter spots, and I want to make sure I get wax on those spots. I'm going to take a second. A little more wax on here. And there's this little light spot here on the edge. Just going to make sure that wax gets on there. Okay, because that wax is what basically helps bake in those oxides. I'm just going to keep heating it up. Some people like put it in their oven or whatever and heat it up that way at like 200 degrees or whatever. For me, this just works a lot easier. Take your time with it. Make sure you're heating it all up, all through the blade. Here we go. And then we'll take that same rag, right? We're just going to wipe off gently, wipe off the excess. And you'll notice very little is coming off on the rag. That's what you want to see. I've had it before where I rushed it. I didn't get it the wax warm enough, and next thing you know, you're wiping off all your black finish, and you got to restart your process. So just nice, light wipe. You just want to take off the excess, but while still leaving a nice coating of that wax on there. And that's it. That looks pretty darn cool to me, right? That wrought iron there. Probably could have gone a little deeper, but, you know, for a live stream, right? I didn't want you to just hang around looking at me, staring at my face. You know, it's kind of boring. But look at that. Look at that figure in there. Isn't that cool? I think that's so cool. It's awesome. Random question. What's your favorite dinosaur? I think mine's a Triceratops. All right, so there we go. All right, guys. So today we took this blade from 120 grit where I had it and all the way up to 800 grit and etched and finished off. So now it's ready for the handle, and that's going to have to wait till tomorrow. All right. I may or may not do a live stream on that one tomorrow. It just kind of depends on how much time I have and stuff. I am under a time crunch with this project, so I do need to make sure it's finished by a certain point. Just again, I think I mentioned this earlier, the handle construction, and this is going to kind of give away. I haven't said exactly what style of knife this is yet, but the handle construction is going to be 2 pieces of this brass sandwiching this piece of ebony with an antler handle. All right. No guard. It's just going to go basically from blade into the handle material. So that should kind of be a little hint on what style of knife this is. I mean, it's kind of hard to tell from just the basic design because a lot of knives kind of look like this, right? I mean, it's kind of a very basic knife design, but there's a very specific style that I'm going for. And yeah, this thing, I'm going to take some pictures and I'll post them up on my Instagram and X and my Facebook. So if you don't follow me, please follow me at NagelHaus Forge. Either on X, so it's at NagelHaus Forge, or on Instagram, NagelHaus Forge, or on Facebook, NagelHaus Forge. And you will see some of the close-up shots I'll do of this. So there you go. But I would say Joe Biden. Hey, you guys can talk about whatever you want to talk about as long as it's clean. That's all I care. As long as you don't get me thrown off of YouTube. I've already been shadow banned on Instagram and Facebook. So, but all right, guys, that's where I'm going to leave you today. Appreciate everybody stopping in, spending some of your day with me here. Again, check me out on my social media on X, Instagram, Facebook, NagelHaus Forge, and we will see you guys next time. Take care. Bye. Now, how do I stop this damn thing? That's the question.